Hello, welcome to Autocad. My name is George Ash, and I have been an Autocad instructor at Wentworth Institute of Technology for more than 10 years. In this lecture series, it is my intention to show how easy it is to learn AutoCAD, drafting, and solid modeling. There are 10 lectures in the series, and each lecture will last approximately 1 hour. A different lecture will be given each week. During a lecture, 3 different objects will be drawn by me in 2D and as a 3D solid. The drawings will be complete and accurate in all respects. Altogether, there will be 30 drawings created, and they will be referred to as exercises, from exercise 1 to exercise 30. At the beginning of each lecture and before starting a drawing, I will explain different aspects of the AutoCAD program. So let's get started. There are not a lot of objects in AutoCAD. There are object types like lines, arcs, circles, polylines, dimensions, text, and hatch. What we do is move the objects, copy and trim them, perhaps mirror and extend lines. All these objects have grips on them, and they all have different properties. And there are different ways of drawing all objects that we will explore. In addition, we will be drawing solid objects which you will enjoy and appreciate when viewing them in 3D. And we can insert blocks and text into tables that we create using AutoCAD. We can do hatch marks at different angles and use different kind of hatch patterns, as for metal, stone, sand, and so forth. And all those objects can be manipulated, trimmed, stretched, and so on. This is exercise 1. As you can see, the drawing is in paper space. I'm going to reproduce it on the screen using a split screen method which I have developed. You can see that the drawing has only 2 viewports showing. Actually, you could have as many as 15 viewports showing on any one drawing. Each viewport shows a look inside paper space, and you can do things with them. For example, I can go to View, Orbit, Continuous Orbit, and move this drawing in 3D space any way I want to. In addition, by double-clicking outside of that model space viewport, I can get back into paper space, and I can change the scale to any scale I want for the 2D drawing. You'll learn more about all of that later on as we progress, but right now let's get started creating the drawing. The first thing I'm going to do is to go to File, Open. I want to open a drawing which I created called A-Size Paper Space. You'll be drawing on that mostly. I'll open it. And Zoom extends, Z enter, E enter. Next, I'm going to the window in the menu, and I'm going to tile both drawings vertically. Next, I'll click on the left drawing, and then I'll click on, to make it active, then I'll click on File, Save As you will have to do, and give it a number. In this case, I'll call it 1. Of course, you will not have the drawing on the right except in paperback form, because that's the drawing I want you to create. But you will open up my drawing, A-Size Paper Space, and follow this procedure. You want to, after you've saved it as a number, you want to edit. ED enter. You want to ED enter, which is to edit, change the number to 1. You go down here to scale, it's going to be 1/2. And you probably want to erase the save as. Your next step when you create the drawing will be, make the left viewport active, click on model to get into model space, go to the layer icon, make layer 1 current. Click OK. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to make the right screen active and then zoom with the window to enlarge the dimensions so you'll be able to see them better without looking at your reference drawing book. Now I'll click on the left screen to make it active. I'll type L enter, pick any point on the screen. Down here ortho must be on, and I'll type 3 enter, move the mouse down, 2 enter, move the mouse to the left, 3 enter, move the mouse up, C enter. That closes it. Next, you'll probably want to pan, P enter, to move it over a bit. Zoom with the window, Z enter, W enter, or click the icon, and just to make the drawing larger. Now you will want to offset. You will type O enter, 1 enter, and pick the line on the left and move it over. You'll discover that you have to use the escape key a lot to free up the command line. I'm going to pan this up a bit, then type CO enter so that I can copy the top view and drag it down here to create the front view. Once again, you will want to offset, so type O enter. 1 is shown acceptable, so I'll hit enter. I want to offset this horizontal line up. Next, you will want to draw a fillet with a radius of 0. F enter, R enter, make sure 0 is shown, hit enter. Now you can select your fillet. You can select 2 lines. Try it again. F enter. I'll select these 2 lines to clean up the intersection. Hit the space bar, clean these 2 lines. Again, these 2 lines. And you can see that the simple 2D drawing form is complete. Before dimensioning, I'll want to move apart the views. M enter. I'll use a window to select the top view, move it up just a little bit. That'll give me room for dimensioning. And so the next thing you'll do is go to Layer and make DIM, Dimension Layer, Current, and click OK. Now we'll proceed to dimension with linear dimensions. OSNAP should be on, so you pick 2 points and move the mouse. That dimension looks small. That's because I have not set up dim scale. So I'm going to erase that. Now I'll type on the command line DIMSCALE, dim scale. Instead of 1, I'm going to type 2 enter. The reason for that is I want to increase the size of the dimension so when it's plotted at half scale it'll be the right size. So you have to change dim scale often. We'll try now to dimension the object. From here, that looks good. Hit the space bar to repeat the command. Put a dimension here. Hit the space bar, repeat the command, another dimension. Hit the space bar, and so forth and so on. I'll just do one more dimension here. And then I can zoom with real time to shrink it down a bit so you can see that we have completed the dimensions for this drawing. Please remember that when you're operating AutoCAD, you can hit the Shift or Enter key to repeat a command, whether it's drawing lines or putting dimensions. Now that we have completed the 2D drawing, I'm going to make the right side drawing active and zoom extents. Z, enter, E, enter. Try it again. Hit the escape key, Z, enter, E, enter, because I want you to be able to see what the solid model is going to look like. And so I'll click on the drawing on the left to make it active. Then I'm going to use zoom real time to shrink the drawing down substantially, and then pan to move it to the lower left corner so that we can start creating the solid model. Your first step in creating the solid will change the layer, make the solid layer current. Next, you'll want to go to rectangle command and pick 2 diagonal points. Then M, enter, L, enter. In other words, move the last thing you drew and move it up. Click ortho to take it off, put it in the upper right corner. Hit enter to repeat the command. No, try it again. We'll do the rectangle command one more time on the smaller rectangle like that. M, enter, L, enter, and move that up there. Your next step will be to move into southeast isometric view. Then you'll want to pan and zoom to show or to enlarge what is going to be the solid model. Now you will type EXT, enter, to extrude, and you'll select one of the rectangles, enter, one, enter. Do the same for the other rectangle. Hit enter key, EXT, enter, one, enter. Now you'll want to move the boxes together, so you'll type M, enter, select the smaller block, the lower left corner, and then put it in the upper left corner, and then you will go to Union and select both blocks so as to add them together. Our next step will be to go to Visual Styles and add some color. At this point you'll probably want to type Z, enter, E, enter, that zoom extends, and move into the top view. Remember, you're still in model space. So now we'll move into paper space by clicking on the first layout button, then go to layer control, make the viewport layer active, and click OK. At this point we want the drawing on the left to look like the drawing on the right, and so I'm going to type MV, enter, which stands for M view. I'm going to take off the object snap because that sometimes gets in the way, and I'm going to make a larger rectangle. Hit the space key or the enter key, then make a second one, and you'll notice that both viewports are green, similar to the one on the right. The next step for you will be to double click inside the small window, move to southeast isometric, then pan and zoom to enlarge the solid object. I'll zoom with the window to enlarge it. You double click outside to get back into paper space. At this point, if you click on the frame of the 2D drawing, you go down here to annotation scale. You can pick a scale for that viewport, which happens to be a half. You can see that the 2D drawing was enlarged to twice its size. So now you can double click inside the viewport to get into model space and then pan. But remember, you're not supposed to zoom when you're working on a 2D drawing here in this manner in model space, because you'll change the scale factor. You can pan and move, but you do not zoom it. Now double click outside and you're back into paper space. The drawing looks okay to me, so I'm going into layer. I'm going to make layer 1 current and freeze the viewports layer. As you can see, The green lines are hidden now, and the drawing is complete and ready for plotting. The entire drawing is plotted at 1:1. However, the 2D drawing will be plotted at 1/2 scale. That concludes exercise number 1. Of course, there'll be plenty more. Thank you for watching. This is my exercise 2 drawing that we're going to create using the split screen method that I used in exercise 1. So to repeat, the first thing we'll do is go to File, and we'll open a drawing I created called A Size Paper Space, which you have in your possession. You'll open it, you'll go to Window, Tile Vertically, make sure left is active, Z enter, E enter, zoom extents, File, Save As, I'll call it 2 enter, Edit, ED enter, change the number of the drawing to 2. Go down here, the scale is also 1/2, 1/2. Then you go into model space, hit escape when you have to clear the command line. You move into model space, making layer 1 current. That's the layer on which to draw. Now you will start to draw. Type L, enter, pick any point on the screen, move to the left, 1, enter. Move the mouse up, 2, enter. To the right, 4, enter. Down, 0.76, enter. To the left, 1.76, enter. And then we'll just make sure object snap is on, or snap on, and we can just connect to that last point, enter. And we can zoom with the window to enlarge the view. Using zoom real time, I can shrink the drawing and then pan to move it up to give me room for dimensions. I'll hit escape to free up the command line, type CO enter, and pick 3 lines from the top view, which I will drag down so that I can create the front view. You'll now want to offset, so O enter, 2 enter, and select this line and bring it down. Hit escape, and using fillet radius 0, you'll want to clean the corners. F enter, R enter. 0 is acceptable, so select the intersections, hit the space bar, do the other one. To complete a picture of the front view, we'll draw some construction lines. There's one, hit the space bar, twice to repeat the command, there's another, and then we'll type TR enter, trim. We'll select the 2 horizontal lines. I want to trim from that line, I want to trim from that line, enter. Then you pick the construction lines and clean it up. As was the case in exercise 1, we'll want to type dim scale, D-I-M-S-C-A-L-E, and make it 2. The reason is we want the dimensions larger so that when it's plotted at 1/2 scale, they'll be reduced in size to the correct size. And you will want to go to layer icon and make the DIM layer current and click OK. So now you're ready to dimension. I forgot to mention this in the exercise 1, but now's as good a time. We go to dimension style up here, click on it, modify. We want to make sure when we modify it that the units, the primary units, are set to 2 zeros after the decimal point, because you have a large selection. 2 zeros after the decimal point, and we want to click on the leading 0 to suppress it, and then you click OK, then close. You'll want to study that dimension style because it has a lot of good features that you should know about. So now let's start to dimension. Go to linear dimension, pick with O snap on, just pick a couple of intersections. Hit the space bar to repeat the command. Another dimension. Just keep hitting the space bar and you can keep going like this. It doesn't take long to do once you get the hang of it. So the dimensions are complete, the drawing is complete, and we can proceed to make a solid model of the object. And remember, it's important that whenever you run into trouble, you're not getting the right dimension or whatever, hit the escape key and redo the command. So to start with the solid model, we're going to go here to Layer and make Solid Current. And then we'll go to Zoom, Real Time, shrink down the drawing, pan to move it to the lower left. In addition, I might as well make the right screen active, Zoom Extents, Z enter, E enter, so we know what the solid model is supposed to look like. At this point, you'll go to the Draw toolbar and select Polyline, and then you'll simply try it again. Polyline, and you're going to trace over the perimeter of the top view, and C to close. Then M enter, L enter. Move the last thing I drew and move it up. Take ortho off so you can move it to the upper right, like that. Then you can move into southeast isometric and pan and zoom so as to enlarge the object that we're going to create, use to create the solid model. You'll type EXT to extrude. Select the object, enter, to enter. Then you'll go to 3D rotate, which is over here. You'll select the object, you pick any point, we'll select the red axis, it turns gold. We want this object to rotate clockwise, so it'll have to be a negative number, -90, enter. And using Zoom Real Time, shrink it down and pan to center it. That's what the object is going to look like. We'll add color using the Visual Styles toolbar, and everything looks okay. If you zoom extents, Z enter, E enter, you see the whole drawing. Then move into top view, and then switch from model space to paper space. I forgot to change the scale on this drawing, so we'll type ED enter, change the scale to 1/2. Hit escape. I'll type MV enter, which is M view, and I'll take off the object snap so it won't snap to something I don't want it to. I'll make a window. Well, before I do, we ought to change the viewports, make the viewport layer current. Now I'll type MV enter and make my two windows. There's the large one for the 2D drawing, and here's the one for the solid model. And I can click inside, get into model space, switch to southeast isometric, then pan and zoom to enlarge the model. Using Zoom Real Time also I can increase the size or decrease the size. Double click outside to get into paper space. On the other hand, remember, as we did before, you can go to View, Orbit, Continuous Orbit, or Fixed Orbit, whatever, and you can change this thing to do all kinds of tricks for yourself. Right click, Exit, Zoom Previous. So now I'll double click outside the viewport. Then we'll click on the 2D viewport. And when we do that, we go down to Annotation Scale and change the scale of the 2D drawing to 1/2. You'll notice it got much larger. Double click inside, and then I can pan to center the drawing the way I want it to be, like that. Double click outside, and to finish off the drawing we can go to Layer, make Layer 1 Current, and freeze the viewports layer. And don't forget, you want to save this drawing as 2 or whatever, and probably erase the Save As, which was printed on the paper space. Well, that completes exercise number 2. Thank you for watching. This will be exercise 3. As you can see, it's already set up with a split screen. So I'll move into model space and click the model button. Then you change the layer and make 1 current. And we can proceed to draw. Type L, enter, pick any point on the screen, move the mouse 4, enter, mouse down 4, enter, to the left 4, enter, and up either 4, enter, or C to close. Then you probably want to zoom to make it a little larger. Now you type O to offset and 2, enter. Move that one to the right, that one down. Hit enter twice, change the offset number to 1, enter. Move it there, move it there. Hit escape. Type F for fillet. R, but R is already 0, so we will leave it alone. Just hit enter again. And we can fillet this intersection, hit the space bar to repeat, fillet that intersection. Now what you do is to copy, CO enter. Copy that line and that line, pick any point, drag it down. Hit the escape or return key, enter key. I'll type O, enter. 1 is okay, offset, so we'll offset there, there, and there. Hit enter or escape. Type CO, enter, pick that line, and you drag it down. Hit the space bar. Hit it again, repeat, pick that, drag it down. Hit space bar, repeat, click that, drag it down. We can go, now you go back to F, enter, radius 0. And you select 2 lines. To clean up these intersections, hit the space bar. Then you might want to shrink down the drawing to get a better view. Now you type UCS, enter, O, enter. That's going to establish a new origin. With OSNAP on, you select that point as the origin. Also, I want to type, or you want to type dim scale, D-I-M-S-C-A-L-E. Make sure it's set at 2, enter. You want to check the dimension style and make sure that the primary units are 2 zeros after the decimal, and get rid of the first 0. Of course, you have a choice, but 2 is what we want. Okay. Close. You go to the ordinate dimension here. Pick a point. Hit the space bar. You can see that this method of dimensioning is very quick. It's used a lot in sheet metal work. Now you'll have to change the UCS if we want to do the front view. So you'll type UCS, enter, O, enter, and pick this point here as the origin. You can see the icon, the UCS icon moved there. We'll go to ordinate dimensioning. Pick that point, 0, space bar, 1, space bar, 2, space bar, 3. Only trouble is, I forgot to put them on the dimension layer. So what I'll have to do here is to go to layer. Well, I don't even have to. Cancel it. One way of doing it is to pick one of them. Go to Property, click on Layer, change the layer to Dimension, so it should change to the color blue now. Hit Escape. It did. And I can use this Match Property to select it, and then with a paintbrush I can do all of these. Well, that won't work. I can type C, enter for crossing, and then I can do that. So they're all dimensions are now on the layer dim. Hit the escape bar. And so the top view and the front view of these objects along with dimensions are complete, and I can proceed to make the solid model. You want to make new layers. Click on Layer, New Layer. I'll call it Blue, B-L-U-E. Change the color to blue. Click on Color, Blue. You make another layer, call it Green. Change the color, and you make another new layer, call it Red. Change color to red. Now you might want to zoom real time, then pan to move it out of the way. We have to set blue current, then using the rectangle command pick 2 diagonal points. Here's 1, 2. Now you type M, enter, L, enter. You want to move the last thing you drew. Take off ortho so I can rubber band it there. Now you make the green layer current. you draw a green rectangle or square. M, enter, L, enter. Pick any point, move it over here. Now you want to make red current. Rectangle command from there to there. M, enter, L, enter. Pick any point, move it there. Then you want to go into southeast isometric view. You'll want to pan over. And you'll want to zoom with the window to enlarge. Solid. Since the red layer is current, we'll extrude EXT, enter. We'll extrude the red square, 1, enter. We'll make the green layer current, EXT, enter. We'll extrude the green on the green layer, 1 unit. We'll make the blue current, EXT, enter, 1. Now what we have to do is move, M, enter. I want to move the green from that intersection to there. Enter, repeat the command, move the blue on top of the green. And then I'm going to move all 3 objects. Previously we unioned them, made them all one, in which case they'd all be the same color. In this case we're not going to do that. We're not going to use the union command, but I'll shade it to see what it looks like. It's okay, so Z, enter, E, enter. Then we'll go into top view. Finally, we want to go into paper space, so I'll click the layout button, change the layer, make viewports current, type MV, enter, and make a large window, enter, and make a smaller window. Double click inside the small window, go to southeast isometric, pan and zoom to enlarge the object. Zoom real time, whatever, till you're satisfied. Double click outside to get back into paper space. Click on the large screen, green screen, set the annotative scale down here at 1/2. You can see it got much bigger. Double click inside and then pan over to make it visible. Going to have a bit of a problem, I can see. So we'll double click outside. I'm going to move the top viewport up a little bit like that to give me more room. I'm going to click on the large viewport, grab a grip and move it up like that. Double click inside. Still doesn't want to fit, so I'm going to pan here like this, and I'm going to type M, enter. Make sure ortho is on. I'm going to move the front view closer, and then I'm going to pan so as hopefully everything will show, which it does. So now I can double click outside the viewport to get back into paper space. You can see that the two viewports overlap, but that doesn't present any problem. Now I'm going to zoom with the window to enlarge that viewport. I'll double click inside. Then I'm going to go to View, Orbit, Continuous Orbit, just to see what it looks like. The objects look okay, so I will right click and exit, and I'll go back to Zoom Previous. I'll double click outside the viewport, Z enter, E enter, zoom extents. Now I'll go to Layer, make Layer 1 current, and freeze the viewports layer. And to all intents and purposes, exercise 3 is completed. Thank you for watching. This video will show how to align two objects in 2D. The first thing to do is to make the command line active, type AL, enter, and select the objects. I'll select them with a window, enter. I'll have to pick the first point, but I need OSNAP to be on, so I'll connect these 2 points, then I'll connect these 2 points. I'll press enter to end the command. The selected objects are moved from the source point to the destination point, and second and third points, if I specified them, will rotate and tilt the selected objects. In this video, you will learn how to draw an arc by specifying 3 points. I'll pick on the command line to make it active, type A, enter, and I will need a start point. OSNAP is on, so I can pick this point, then I'll pick a point for the arc, and then the end point. I could do that again by hitting enter or the space bar to repeat the command. Take my first point, second point, and end point. Now we'll see how to use the break command to break an object, whether it be a line, a circle, or an arc. Of course, we'll make the command line active and type BR, enter, which is the alias for break, and we'll select the line, and we're going to take OSNAP off, and what we have to do is pick a point. You don't have to actually touch the line. I can repeat the command and pick another 2 points like that, or whatever. Keep doing it. Either go right to left or left to right, it doesn't matter. This time I'll hit enter or the space bar, and I'll select this line here. I'll type F, enter, put the object snap back on, and select my first intersection and then my second intersection, and you see that the line in between has disappeared. Also, we'll take off the object snap, we'll hit the space bar to repeat the command, and we'll try it on the circle. We'll pick 2 points hit the space bar or enter key, another 2 points. You'll notice that I'm doing it counterclockwise. When you break a circle, you always have to do it counterclockwise. You don't actually have to touch it but get close to it. And that looks reasonably well. In this video, we'll learn how to chamfer objects. I have here a plate and a round shaft. So the first thing I'll do is to type CHA enter. Then I'll type D enter, and I'll type 0.25 enter. That establishes one distance. I'll hit enter. That establishes a second distance. Now all I got to do is select 2 lines. Hit enter or the space bar to repeat the command and select another 2 lines. Repeat the command by hitting the space bar or enter key, and then do the last one. As far as the shaft goes, I'm going to type CHA enter again. Try it. CHA enter. D enter. This time the distance will be 0.06. Enter. And I'll enter it again because I want it at 45 degrees. So now I'll select the corner, repeat it down there, and again on this side, and again here. And since this is a shaft, and looking at it from the outside, there should be a line here. So I'm going to put a line with object snap-on from here to here, enter, repeat the command from here to here. And the drawing looks correct, so we'll move on. In this case, we will learn to draw a circle by specifying a center point and radius or diameter. And so I'm going to type C enter, then I'll type R enter, and with those snap on, pick the left end point, move the mouse. I'll type R enter for the radius and type 0.19, enter. Repeat the command by hitting the enter or space key. Select the other end of the line. Now I'm going to type D enter, and I'll type 0.75 enter. And that looks right. In this case, we're going to copy an object using 2 points. So on the command line, I'll type CO enter. I'll select the circle on the left, enter. A base point, I'll select the quadrant using the object snap, the quadrant, and I'll put that at the end point of the vertical line. Hit escape. Repeat the command. I'll select the circle. I'll pick the quadrant again, but this time I'll pick that left side quadrant, then bring it over here and put it at the end point there, and hit enter or escape to complete the command. And that looks okay. Here in this video, we'll learn how to insert points to mark equal segments. The first thing I want to do is to type PDMODE. The reason for that is I want to make sure I've got a mark here. 0, 1, 2, 3, all have different marks. So I'm going to accept 3 as the mark. Now I'm going to type div, enter. I'll select the line, and I'm asked for the number of segments. I'll type 3, enter. I'll repeat the command. I'll select the circle, and they ask for the number of segments, and I'll type 6. So those X's are PD mode 3, and that divides the line. I could draw lines, I could break at those points, and incidentally they're called nodes. These X's are called nodes. So you can break different segments and so forth. I don't think that the erase command requires much explanation. All you have to do is type enter, and you can select individual entities to erase, or you can hit enter, and you can type enter with a crossing so that anything you touch can be erased, or you can make a window so anything encompassed by the window will be erased, or you can undo. I think that's enough for the erase command. The extend command is pretty straightforward. I'll type EX enter to extend. I'll select the circle, enter, and then pick any of these points to extend it to the perimeter of the circle. Repeat the command. I can do it one at a time. I want to extend to that line, enter. Repeat the command. I want to extend to this line, enter, that line, enter. Or you can do it multiple at once. For example, I want to extend to both of those lines, enter, then I can extend it like that. That's all you have to know about extend. The fillet command is extremely useful, and I use it all the time. I'll type F enter, R enter, 0.19 enter, and I'll select these 2 lines. I'll do it again. F enter, R enter. This time the radius will be 0, enter. This is a command you'll use constantly, because I can make a right angle whether the lines are far apart or whatever. So you want to be sure you learn the fillet command, and that's all there is to it. Here we're going to use the hatch command. I'll type H enter. Dialog box comes up, and I'm asked to select objects. So let's say I select the rectangle, enter, dialog box appears again. I don't wish to make any changes to the scale or whatever, so I'll simply say OK. I'll repeat the command. This time I want to change the direction of the hatch marks, so I'll change the angle from 0 to 90, and I'll pick a point. I'll select objects. I'll select the circle, enter, dialog box appears, you click OK, and that's it. Kind of easy and straightforward. Autocad is not as hard as many people think it is once you get into it. Sometimes it's easier to use the mirror command than to use copy or move. In this case, I'll use mirror. MI enter. I'll select the number 2 on that side, enter. With O snap on, I'll pick that vertical line. I got to pick 2 points like so, and you hit enter. You notice that the 2 does not invert. And I guess that's it for this video. The move command is also straightforward. Simply type M enter, select the circle, go to the intersection there, and drag it to the end point like that. I could mirror that to put the circle on the other end, but instead I'm going to repeat, or I'll use the copy command. So I'm going to copy this, enter, from the quadrant on the left side and drag it over to the other end. Hit enter. And that's that. In this video, we'll offset a circle and a rectangle by specifying a distance. And so on the command line, I'll simply type O enter, and then I'll type in a distance, 0.1, enter. And I can offset the circle any number of times. And also I can offset the rectangle in both inside and outside, as you see. Hit escape to clear the command line, and that's that. In this video, we're going to use the pettit command to join polylines, lines and arcs into a single polyline. Of course, you have to have a single polyline as shown in red here in order to be able to extrude it in 3 dimensions. So, to begin with, I'm going to activate the command line and type PE enter. It says select a polyline, so I select a line. I'm asked if I want to turn it into a polyline. I say yes, enter, just hit enter. Then I want to type J enter to join. In other words, I want to join to that line which I just made a polyline, all these other lines. So I select them all and hit enter twice. Now that is a polyline which can be extruded. So same with that one. This is also, pettit is also useful to create wide polylines. For example, if I was to type PE enter and select this line, which is a polyline, I can type W enter and specify a new width for all the segments. So I'll type 0.125, enter. Repeat the command, select the second line, W for width, enter, specify a new width, 0.375, enter. Repeat the command, select a polyline. An arc is a polyline. No, it's not. So I guess I have to turn it into a polyline. I'll say yes, enter, and then I'll type W enter and specify a width of 0.062, enter. And that's another example of the polyline edit command. In this video, we will create a polar array, and so I'll click the command line to make it active, type AR enter, then click on polar array and select objects button, and I'll select the object. Hit enter. Dialog box appears again. I'll click to pick a center point, which will be at the cross section. The total number of items I'll change to 10. I want the angle to fit to be 360 degrees, and so I'll click OK. In this one, we will create a rectangular array. We'll type AR enter on the command line and select rectangular array. Now we'll want to change the rows to 2 and the columns to 3, and we have to select the objects down here. The dialog box appears again, and we should put in dimensions. The row offset would be 0.48, and the column, no, my mistake, the row offset would be 0.59, and the column offset would be 0.48. Then we'll click OK, and that looks all right. The rotate command is another one that I use quite often. All you got to do is type RO enter. I'll select this line and select the base. I want the line to go clockwise, so it has to be a negative number. So I'll simply type -30, -30. Repeat the command. This time I'll take this vertical line, enter. There's the base point, and I want to do -30 again, -30 again. Then of course I would copy CO enter this line in order to make the before and after the same. We'll learn about putting dimensions on later on. And that's that. The scale command is also pretty straightforward. Just types SC enter, select the object including the dimension, because the dimension will change when you scale it. I'll pick the intersection there, and I'll make it a scale it by a factor of 2, enter. And that looks right. I want to drag it down with grips though to improve the appearance. You'll have to take O-snap off to do it right, like that. Hit escape. And that is done for the scale command. Using the trim command is also very helpful. Just type TR enter, and I'll select, say, these 2 vertical lines, enter. So from those lines I can trim that one, and that one. Or I can just type F enter and draw a line. It's a fence. Then automatically all of them will be trimmed at once. Or I can trim, I'll hit escape, repeat the command. I can trim from the circle anything on the outside, like that. Or if I wanted, I could even trim on the inside like this. I'll hit escape and undo that, just so I'll try it one more time, and this time I'll type TR enter. I want to trim from the circle, enter, and I'll use a fence. F enter. So I want to get rid of those lines. Enter. Trim again. Select objects, F for fence, and then just do it backwards like that. And that does it for this grouping of simple basic AutoCAD